driving is a strong term.
Well, it seems like you've got
Sitting in it.
it seems like you have a decent handle of the track if you're doing 207s, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's on low fuel, so that's not
Sure.
obtainable for me constantly. I think that's a lap I should be able to do on like a mid fuel. I feel like I don't
Yeah.
know though.
Yeah, I mean, if you could do 207s in mid fuel for a general endurance around here, I think it'd be just fine.
Um, should I go out on like max fuel, or I guess what do we want to do with this session? I
Well,
probably need to do mid fuel and do acclimatization.
acclimatization. Yeah, I think that's a good idea,
Yeah.
right? I would start with acclimatizing first and really just get a feel for the track, right? It
Yeah.
doesn't make sense adding more variables before you know your way around,
Right.
right?
Let's just do mid.
Yeah,
fuel.
you know that. I mean, half tank is what you would run in a sprint race, right? And it's
Yep.
enough time to do enough laps that you can get a feel for the track and just kind of run until you know your way around and where you got stuck. And then once you kind of are like, okay, I can hit. Let's even call it 209s, even, right? Like you can just hit the same lap time
Yeah.
over and over and over again. Now we can start to add stuff, take stuff away. So, are you running any custom setup or anything, or are you just running with the default aggressive? Or
I've been using the Coach Dave setups,
Okay, yeah.
and I do I like that they have notes on it, so
Yeah.
it's something that I know is optimized to a degree,
Yep.
but also I can know what is different about it.
Yep.
So I have been doing that. I've been doing just their safe race
Oh, okay,
setup
yeah.
instead of their fast. Um, I don't know, sometimes I feel like the fast is a little bit garnered towards like the obviously better driver,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah. Well, you know how
Which-
they have their like fast, they have their really fast. I tend to use either like their fast or I'll use like their quali because sometimes, like you said, like they're really fast. Sometimes the setup seems to be a bit edgy and can be hard.
Yeah,
for
it's like
everybody to drive.
alien type.
Yep. Yep. That can be kind of a pain in the ass.
I can tell you, like, positioning my car here, in the beginning of, and I need to get a track map so I can hit turn names, but the beginning of what I would call like the S's, that first turn, I can tell I don't need to be like all the way wide out because that almost makes it too like aggressive of an entry or too like steep.
Mm-hmm.
I need to be a little bit more shallow, but I'm not sure where it be. But the beginning of what I would call like the S's, that first turn, I can tell I don't need to be like, so I can pull up a track map, all the way wide out because that almost makes it too like aggressive of an entry or too like steep.
Right.
I
Right.
need to be a little bit more shallow, but I'm not sure where it be. But the beginning of what I would call like the S's, that first turn, I can tell I don't need to be like, so I can pull up a track map, all the way wide out because that almost makes it too like aggressive of an entry or too like steep.
Right.
I
Right.
need to be a little bit more shallow, but I'm not sure where it be. But
Well, Sector 1 is always the biggest challenge around here because the rhythm section after you get through turn 2 can kind of be a little difficult. And so that, honestly, I feel like is the hardest area for most people to get their handle on. And then after that is Sector 3, where, you know, the last few turns really require precision. The middle sector is the middle sector is dead easy, right? Like basically once you get out of from turn 4 to turn 9, that can be a little bit tricky. Then 10 through 13 is pretty rudimentary, and then I'd say 15 to the end just requires like really good balance of the car and you making sure you're using all the road. And I think that a lot of folks don't take advantage of the placement in Sector 1, and then they don't really use all the road in Sector 3, and that's what really hurts them.
beginning of what I would call like
13 is pretty good balance of the car, and you making sure you're using all the road. And I think that a lot of folks don't take advantage of the placement in Sector 1, and then they... Yeah, I don't want to find it. I'm just using you to test some audio levels. I think I'm just going to use what I got.
Oh, good.
And then, yeah, and that'll work out just fine. But that's the other tricky part. And then, let me also send you a... Have you gone through any of the track guides yet for this track?
I have watched actually a few of them, but honestly, I'm having trouble finding the braking, and I can't even find the COTA brand tags for some.
Are you looking for the one on the Niger site?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's an idea.
Oh, there it is. I found it.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, so going into 3, then we're going into turn 3. There's a definitely a mark positioning thing.
Sit with you on board in just a second.
Yeah, I gotta figure out these braking zones too. Like,
for something specifically from Michael's video, so it's not gonna be most. This is brakes after the COTA zone. Yeah, okay, before the track goes right again. Okay. That really sets you up for a lot of the rest of that lap. I always have to rewatch the first sector on Michael's video before I run COTA, because I feel like I lose my reference points when I go into turn 3.
it feels like it would be hard to find reference points, honestly.
Yeah. So what I use is the bend in the S.
Yeah, no, you're fine. We're just kind of talking about started to release right now. That one feels like I do that lock capture and I realize it feels like it's going to be like ready to like, turn in. It's super sloppy, and I haven't run it in a while.
It's okay though because it's what a lot of drivers do, which is mostly just follow the instructions you see.
Yeah, no problem. Good. That's good. There, I feel like I walk wide a lot, and I think that's probably, if you say I'm being impatient, I'm probably just getting because you're getting to 100 miles I feel like those markers are always the same.
Yeah.
I don't focus. I forget which one I'm at.
Alright. Let's go to the pits and stop.
Okay, cool.
So your biggest issue is that you are too early with a lot of things. You turn in too early before most major turns, so you run off the road. And then you try to overcompensate by gathering the car back up after you've missed the turn, and you can't, right? Remember we said that whole thing of you can't fix a fuck up?
Right.
So, like, you know, without being too harsh about it, you fuck up, and then
it's okay.
You're kind of trying to, like, fix it after the car starts sliding, rather than gathering it back up again and getting it kind of back on its place. You try to, like, overcompensate.
Push it through.
Push it through, and it doesn't...
Try to, like, make it work. Okay, yeah,
right.
I could feel that. Yep. That makes sense.
Yep. So, let me show you one example here. And I sat behind you so you could get a sense for... Oh, I have a kitty in my lap. Okay, forget a sense for this. I want to start with turn one, because turn one, everybody fucks up turn one. We're going to do it from the top and from the back. But turn one is a much wider turn than you think. And you are turning as if the track is flat when there's actually a hill. So you end up being really early on the apex when you reach the inside. So when you hit the corner, it carries you out wide. And it takes you a lot longer to actually get to full throttle. You can't get the rotation done early enough because you've turned in so early that your angle's really narrow. And so then when you get to the midpoint of the corner, you find yourself having to put more steering lock in. So you're not rotating anymore, you're steering. Right?
Yeah, okay, I could feel that.
You need space to have the momentum to get the rotation. And you need to be able to kind of break in a straight line and get the rotation done in a free and open area before you face the exit. You can't turn into the corner and try to do the rotation like once the nose is pointed in, if that makes sense. So like what you're doing, and I'll show you in a second, but what you're doing is you are basically turning towards the corner, not rotating before the corner.
Yeah, I can see that. I just watched what you did.
Yeah, and then once you get pointed toward the corner, you're still not rotated all the way, so you have to put more steering lock in. And the more lock you put in, the slower you go.
Yep.
So
okay, I can see that.
That really all you have to do here is wait a little longer. Like wait a little longer before turning. Because you see where you are in the turn, you're facing out towards the grandstands.
Yeah. Okay.
And so you're not able to get on power for a long time. We'll do it again because I followed you. Make sure that.
And are you gonna stream it?
Oh yeah, I'm already doing that. Yep.
Wait, where is it?
Oh, I had it sitting as an unlisted channel. I can make it a public one if you want.
Oh, I see it through your. Okay.
Yeah.
No, you're good. I was waiting. I don't know why I was waiting for it in Discord.
No. It's all good. I make them all unlisted as I'm trying to, figure out audio and testing stuff. And then, working with you typically has some benefit. So I might leave that one up actually just as an example of something we did. But,
Okay.
See when you start to kind of yaw into the turn there? You see when you start to move inward?
Okay. Sorry, I have the stream up now.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, it's slightly delayed, but yes. So I see.
Oh, that's right. I forget because I'm normally sharing my screen in Discord, and you're normally looking at that, and you can't see that. Of course not.
I see where you got a pause now.
Of course not. Okay.
So yeah, I'm almost a full car's length to the left compared to you.
Yeah.
That's where I saw it.
And so when you turn in because you've turned in so early,
I'm just tightening the corner.
You're just tightening the corner up too much. Exactly right.
I don't know why I felt like. I don't know what I was thinking.
Well, I know exactly what you're thinking.
It's so funny how you do something and you think like it's close to optimal, but then when you see it, it's not at all that.
Right.
It's not even close.
Yeah, exactly.
It's terrible.
I know exactly what you're thinking. So you're going up the hill, and what you're thinking is, look, there's a bend in the road. I should get my car towards that bend. That's a normal. That's a normal logical thing to think, right? You're not incorrect about that. But if we go free cam and we go up into the sky and we look at the shape of the corner, this corner has a very like tight radius. So you can't just go from the outside to the bottom. Right? If you go from the right side of the track and just turned left, no rotation, just made a straight 90 degree, you'll have to turn even more once you get to the bottom of the corner to even get out of it. At best, you'll drive towards the turtles.
Yeah.
Which will you'll have to turn more no matter what. So you're going to have to add more steering input in. You can't stay in the track limit if you just drive straight to the bottom. And that's what everybody does. They drive up the hill. They don't think about the whole shape of the full turn. They just go up the hill and they say, oh, there's a bend in the road. I should turn to the bend and the rest of the corner will work itself out. Well, turn one tightens more on the exit than the entry. You can even see it on the width of the road, right? It's narrower on the exit side than it is on the entry side. So that's a really good sign that like that big open space is where you want to get the rotation done in, because that's where you have room to rotate.
Yeah, well, looking at it from this angle too, I didn't think about it, but I haven't rotated my car at all.
No.
I've just hurt my position
Yep.
by a car's length and a half at this point.
Yep. And
there's literally no rotation. I'm just pointing straight. So
exactly. Yep. Exactly.
Okay.
So when you get to the bottom, you're gonna have to be like, oh shit, I can't make the turn, and you're gonna have to turn more, and you have to hold the
steering. Just rotate.
Right, and you have to hold the steering for even longer, which will hurt you even more. And so everyone else will have finished their rotation behind you, will be facing the exit while you're still turning.
Mm-hmm.
Then they'll be on the power while you're still turning, and then they're just freight training you.
Yeah. So you came right up to the back of me. If I wasn't there, you would have just gone through me.
Oh yeah.
Because it's so much more momentum.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Because a lot of this is momentum, so that's an easy thing to fix. All you have to do in that case is just brake a little longer. Just like your initial straight line braking just needs to be a little longer. Where you started braking was fine, but just wait a little longer to turn. Mm-hmm. If you wait a little longer to turn, your apex gets naturally later. Everybody who struggles with getting later apexes, it's not about really changing the shape, it's changing the timing. You just have to delay your turn in by like 1 beat.
Okay.
And the apex will naturally move later because you just move farther up the road before you started putting input in.
Well, yeah, and I'd be at a slower speed, so the car would naturally rotate sooner than later. Because like I'm still going so fast, even though I'm turning, I'm straight.
Right, you're understeering up the road because you're going so fast.
There's no rotation. It's not. It's like a waste of an input to steer at that point.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
That makes sense.
The other simple tip would be focus on rotation into turn one, because if you go into turn one and you just think about let me get the car rotated, then you naturally will adjust your input and timing so that you're able to turn just on the brakes and hold the steering. Right? This is one of those turns that's so wide because you're going up a hill. You know, you've got the hill helping you. So that'll hold you in place. And then you can turn in on brakes and just trail as you make your way up the hill and just put steering lock in until the car is facing the exit. Then you can unwind and get to power.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, a lot of people are...
I can see that now.
Yeah, a lot of people are trying to get to power here, and this is a terrible idea. It's just going to push the car off the road. So don't think about throttle anywhere in this entry phase. Just get the car turned, get the car rotated.
Brake and rotation.
Rotated. And then see, you can get the power back here, because now the nose is facing the exit. And now you can just straight line that thing. And you get all that benefit because you're going to accelerate down a hill and then you're going to go through a momentum flowing section, and that's where a lot of your lap time is going to come.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, right here.
Yeah, exactly.
Right the back of me. Yeah, didn't press it again. That's great.
So, yada. Right here is where I would have more momentum than you if you weren't there, which is something you want to keep in mind if you're following another car. I'm probably giving you a lot of information, but let's say you follow a car into turn one and they do the line that you did. You want to be like, okay, they will be slow at the top of the hill.
Right.
So
yeah, no, that's not too much information. I feel like that's almost what would you call it? Just like my brain will naturally kind of do that.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, like I caught up to that guy. I don't have to think too hard. That's either you did or you didn't. That's fine. As long as I have the right line, that's what matters.
Right. If you see them make that initial yaw in turn one, then you'll be like, oh shit, their exit's going to be slow. Like I will be catching them coming out of here. Okay, good. Right?
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And I can delay if I need to. I can delay my throttle to make sure I don't like tighten up to them.
Right.
And,
yes.
Like, how you block to yourself. I don't want to do that.
Right.
So
right.
Give myself the space at that point.
Right. You can use your judgment. Right. You can either say, "Hey, I'm far enough away that I can start to get to power and just approach them slowly on the hill," or "Oh God, I'm going to run into them at the apex. I need to make sure I slow down even more and wait a little more." Right. But at least you have options now.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay. So that makes sense.
Turn three, where the road was so the way I use it in my head is where the road bends right, like where the red and the blue is. That's my reference when I see the road bending to the right. I brake before that because I need an area to straight line brake. before I go through this really tight sequence of turns. And so what I use as a reference, just because you can't really miss it, is I want to go back up here.
Yeah, I think right now on the stream, I think we're looking at 4.
Oh, right. You are looking at 4. Yeah, you are looking at 4. Yeah. For turn 4, when you're breaking here, I break where the curbing starts. See that triangle on the bottom?
Yes.
I break there.
Makes sense.
Right? Because then I can get some straight line braking done, and I'm braking towards the curbing. And then I can carry and manage my momentum through this section a lot easier than where you are, where you've missed that point, and now you're trying to basically fix a fuck up, right? You've driven past the break point, and now you have all this extra speed in the car that you can't bleed off easily.
Yeah.
And so it puts you out of position and out of sequence for the rest of the corners ahead of you, and it's difficult to gather it back up because the way the track flows, there's no real reset place to start over until you get to maybe turn 7, kind of. And by that time, you've shed off so much momentum, it hurts.
Yeah, it's such a long complex.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you're being chased by a car, it's going to feel like agony because they're going to be all over the back of you. And if you're chasing a car, they'll just be slowly getting away, and you're just going to want to cry. So you want to nail this break point here so that you can manage the rest of it.
Okay. So just break a little bit sooner.
Yeah. Yeah. Another thing you can think of if it helps you is it's just past the Circuit of America sign. You drive under the sign, and the next big turn under the sign. Or for some people, they line up that jumbotron that's far in the distance. That's too far away for me. But like straight in front of me, there's that Coach Dave Academy sign where it says "Up Your Game." It's just like if you go straight ahead off into the distance.
Yeah, I see that
you can line that up too, but I don't particularly love using that because if there are cars in front of me, or if I'm moving around, if I'm doing stuff, how do I get that right?
Yeah, it's harder to see.
Yeah.
What about my line through 3? Is that okay? Or is my turn in?
Your line was fine. It was okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I work backwards a little bit.
Yeah, hold on just 1 second. My wife has a question, and I will be right with you. 1 second. Okay. I'm back. And I think I got all of the things muted properly, so that's a good test, actually.
Oh.
No, I'm back.
You're fine. Yeah, you did mute.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. I haven't figured out all the hotkeys yet, so like when my wife has something, I want to make sure I have all of those clever cues. So... your line in 3 was okay, but because you entered 4 so fast, it kind of undid everything.
I see. Okay.
So that we need to get that brake zone there. See, now how you're at that position, it makes a difference. Even here, when you're coming into 7, you want to start on the right and be able to carry momentum in. But it's hard to get over there because of where you started in 4.
Let's see. I think you just played it for me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I went wide, and then at that point, I'm just
Yeah, you're just out of position, right? So
I think that's the hardest thing with this track is when you mess up one of these corners. Like I have one thing to fix, but the rest of the corners are messed up because of 1, 4, 5 before it.
Right.
But like it's all bad data that I can't use every time. So the earlier I fuck up this complex, the worse it is because there's not anything to change with that besides the one thing. But I still lost four corners of just learning.
Well,
they're all bad position at that point.
Well, because you're learning, yeah. Another way to think about it is like in the race, if you do mess that up, if you mess up the braking into turn 4, get the car gathered back up as quickly as you can. In 4. Okay. Don't just try to carry that error all the way for the whole sequence, right? If you go to the brakes in 4 and the car washes really wide, get the car gathered up in 5. Right? Slow down just a little bit. and be like, okay, messed up only 4. Let's get back on 5. Let's get back on rhythm. Like, it's going to be a little slow already. That's okay. But at least we have the good feeling through the rest of the lap, and it's not this, carrying this mistake all the way to like turn 10 or something.
Okay.
All right, that's going to
Yeah,
hurt
because
you.
I feel like that's what I've been doing.
Yeah.
Right,
That's definitely what you've been
I
doing.
have the bad line, and then I just adjust my inputs to make me continue to drive fast
Right.
on the bad line.
Yeah, don't try to worry about getting the best lap time possible anymore. Try to focus on the best technical technique.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that.
Right. And then the good lap time will come of it, because really what you're doing is you're being as efficient as you can with what you've got left.
Right, well, that fixes my problem of I can get good data to log into my brain for those corners.
Correct.
Still,
Yep.
instead
That's
of
correct.
data that I know shit.
That's
okay.
correct. That's correct. Okay. So again, there, because you're so far over the field, it makes 8 and 9 difficult because you're having to yaw back and forth across the track. So those will naturally fix themselves.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, my positioning in 8 compared to you is crazy.
And then when you get to turn 10, easy way to remember this: what you do in turn 1, you also do in 10, and you also do in 11.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. They're almost the same shape.
Yep.
They close up.
Yep. Exact same shape. Tightening on the exactly. They're a decreasing radius corner that tightens. So right now you're turning too early. See, you turn in super early compared to me, and so you can't use as much road width. And I don't even get as much rotation because I'm following you. Like when I'm following you at full speed, I get on the brakes and I get the car rotated in. Right? If I came in at full speed, if I was on a normal flying lap, I would have run into the back of you. Because I could just use the momentum to really hook the car around and then come out the other side.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
Now, here's my question here for that. What do you use as a reference for braking?
I'm using it's one of the white lines on the side, but I keep losing it, so it's not helping, or it's not good for me. I don't think.
How about the Marshall hut? See that big red Marshall hut there on the right? The big tent with the orange people in them?
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
I think we're getting there. Yeah, I see that.
Yeah. So that is directly in line with the brake marker. And it's easier to see.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that'll be helpful.
Right?
So the brake marker is at the 150?
Yeah, it's at the 150.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have the right idea of being on the right side of the track, but every time you kind of blew off the track because you were braking too late. And that was an easy one to fix. I was like, oh god, he just doesn't know where to stop. Okay.
Yeah, I was not in the right place at all.
Yeah. So that is a really helpful marker. You can see it almost all the time, right? You can kind of measure off of it. If you're next to cars, you can easily see them. It's not going to be too hard. That's an easy fix. That's a really easy fix.
Yeah, that'll be good. And it's the same shape as the others. I'm gonna say, is this one a little tighter on?
It's a little tighter, but the concept is exactly the same. 1, 10, and 11 1, 11, and 12 are exactly the same.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, they're exactly the same. Again, here, you braked a little late, also a little early, so we're talking about it. Now, for 13, for me at least, 13 is a trail braking corner because of the shape of the turn. I want to start as far left as possible, and I want to trail brake to float as much lap time as I can through the corner. So it gives me some momentum to carry through. Then 14 is kind of and then around where the road bends here, I want to start to get on the brakes for 15 because I want to be able to float the car into the apex on the far side. So when I come out of 13, trail keeps the momentum in the car. Remember when we talked about energy in the cup? Keeps some energy in the cup. That's good. And on a good lap, I'd really be carrying some momentum through. That's fine. And then around here, I want to get my straight line braking started because it's a nice open straight place. and then trail on my way into 15. So I can use the momentum that I've held on to from 14 to get rotation into 15.
Okay, and I see, and you're braking actually further back than me, but you're doing it so it's more in a straight line.
Right. Well, because it's
you
more in a
actually
straight
brake in the
line. It's
middle of
more
the track, which I
right.
always try to avoid, but there it's so weird. That corner is so weird.
It's a difficult corner, but so I brake a little early for a couple of reasons. So one, I want to start getting the weight transfer. I want to get the straight line braking done first, right? So I want to get that out in and out of the car in a nice open space. You know, you don't end up in a place where you have to turn suddenly. You're not in a place where the car can get bit or bound up suddenly. So there's a lot of efficiency you can benefit from braking around here. But once we're done with that phase of braking, I still need to make the turn, and I still need to get some rotation in at some point, right? So I need to be able to stay on the brake to keep some of the nose on the front so the car will still steer.
Yeah.
And I need to get some rotation in the car because this corner is very similar to 1, 11, and 12, right? It's a decreasing radius corner where it tightens on the other side. And so I still want to get the rotation appropriate, but I need momentum to get that rotation. If I don't have any momentum in the car, like if I overslow, like if I really just hammered the brakes and stay on the brakes, there's not enough energy in the cup to be able to do anything.
Yeah, okay.
So
I need a hard initial brake, and then I need to just save up enough energy to kind of trail.
Exactly. Yes, it's the trailing through there that's really going to help you. Yep.
Yeah, and watching me there, I'm just doing I'm putting in a waste of inputs.
Yeah.
Because I turned in and I was in tighter, and then I realized I needed to be out where you were, and I got there, but it's I'm going in and out.
Yeah.
Doing all this extra stuff where I could just stay out.
Yeah.
Brake hard.
Yep.
And straight, and just simplify it.
Yep. Yeah. Because you overcomplicated it. What you did when you went in is you braked, you turned in early, and then you tightened everything up, and then you saw me float over to the outside, and you were like, "Oh shit, I got to get out there," which meant you turned the other way, and by that point you've already wasted the momentum. And you have to then reset to then make the rest of the turn. So you're turning 3 times. And meanwhile, I'm watching you being like, huh, you could have just...
Brake and turn.
Yeah. Exactly.
Braking and turning for dummies.
Right, exactly. Now, this one here is what you've been helping me with Red Bull Ring and Turn 5 and any of those long corners where you need a neutral balance. And I think you have this down pretty well. So
okay.
I think
it's a feel for sure on just how much I'm letting off the throttle.
Yeah, and just keep the car at a neutral state and not let it push too hard. So I think you've got that. And here you can be more aggressive on the turn in once you get more comfortable using the weight transfer to keep the nose on the front of the car. You can really aggressively attack that inner curbing. I don't really like to drive over the sausage, but I think the asking probably could do a different job of it.
Yeah, if I put the sausage in the middle of my car, I can.
Yeah, so you can attack that.
I'm trying to get accurate with that.
Right, but focus on the accuracy so you know when and when not to, because if you don't get in the middle, then it throws the car over.
Yeah, I have to either do it right or not.
Right, all in or all out. You can't halfway. Yep, 100%. Yeah. And then here... You just brake before the line.
I need a brake marker first.
Yeah, use the line.
Because I don't feel comfortable where I'm braking. Okay.
Yeah, you just it's where the white line is, or where the pit lane entry starts, or I just use this white line here, this big thick one. And then it's actually, let's see. Well, I'm following you, so it's a little bit earlier when I'm following. But I brake basically right before where the white line is.
Okay.
Right, and it's a good place for me to gauge either or, right? Because again, the objective here is still to try to get enough rotation so that the car will do what it needs to do in 1, 11, and 12, right, and 15. So I want to have a reference point to start with, and then be able to adjust if I'm not getting the rotation or if I'm too early on the corner or whatever. At least I have a constant place on track.
I can use it as a reference now, at least, and figure out where it needs to be in my perspective.
Correct. Yep, gives you a track. And then
because I kind of been looking at that exit road, and I think that was almost too early, and I realized it. So then I would like do like a road passes, and I'd kind of do a mental like 1, 2 or something, and
Yeah.
break.
Yeah.
And it was just not. It was like a reference that wasn't close enough,
Yeah.
and the cadence. I was trying to like, create a cadence or
100%,
something.
100%, 100%. And like, here I'm
Yeah.
following you, so it's not super close. And that's it. So if we summarize kind of the things we want to work on, we want to focus on rotation on the entry to turns. We want to be a little more patient entering turns.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because 1, 11, 12, 15, 20, yeah, all similar themed. Right?
Same breaking, patient on turn in for 1, 11, and 12. Mm-hmm. 3 break at the beginning of the curb.
Mm-hmm. Well, 4, but yeah.
Or 4. Sorry.
Yeah, I did it.
3, my line is good. Yeah. 4, break at the curb.
Mm-hmm.
4, 6. Are you? It's tough because I messed it up, so it's hard to like really get a gauge. I guess 6. Is 6 kind of just like a neutral balance, kind of just
to me it is that? Yeah, to me okay, 6 is largely neutral balance. Yeah, well, because if you go through that whole section, from 4 to 9 is basically just a flowing momentum section, right? Yeah, you're just trying to keep the momentum up, and you're trying to keep the car in a neutral state, and you're not trying to have any too much snap where the car rotates in mid corner anywhere, because any of those big slip angle snap moments are going to really hurt you when you gather the car back up again.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So I think that's a good place to start too, because what you will find is that with cars that are behind you and around you, they will tend to be really aggressive through that section with you, because there's only track limits to stop them. There's no physical barrier. So people will like overdrive a section of the track just to be close to you, just to be intimidating.
I see.
Right.
So I want you to go through 8 and 9 again. I just want to see your line one more time. I know mine was wrong, and I'm trying to remember.
Sure. Yeah.
Where it should be.
Yeah, well, let's back up a little earlier, and that way you have a little bit. The reason that you're able to get that rotation is because of the placement of the floor, right? I want to make the corner wide, so I want to be able to be on the right, right? You want to keep 8 somewhat tight, so that you're able to.
Yeah, you do get a lot of rotation early in 8, so you can really just excel.
Exactly. So you get that rotation done, and that way there's a wide open road, and then you're able to straight line this going up, right? And you can even see, like, that was just me following you, trying to make sure not to run you over.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot more momentum I can carry through if you are not there. But I would catch you so much that I would just shove you out of the way. So I would let the car slide to just kind of show you, like, hey, even when sliding, I'm catching you.
Yeah. So for 8, you actually break in the middle of the track. Is that optimal, or is that different because you were behind me?
Well, so I mean, we are a little bit on the green track. So
yeah.
But right here, I'm still trying to get the car to rotate in. Right? On a track that's got more grip, I don't have to do as much of that. On an optimal track, because I'll have more track grip. So I can brake lighter, and the grip will take care of it.
I see. Yeah, it just got. Do you just pause there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
But fortunately, it's major themes. Like, it's not like it's a every corner you're doing something different, or every corner you're just inconsistent. It's actually one type of corner multiple times that you're doing the same thing. Yeah. And I think if you hold on, I have a cat who wants my attention. Hello, kitty. Hi.
I understand. I closed my door when we started this because he's not allowed.
Exactly right. Well, so my cats get needy, and if you close the door on them, they just start beating on the door handle. So like Enzo is a big tall cat, and we have those hinge handles, and if you close them out, he just starts going wham 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 like on the door handle, and it's just like, how dare you lock me out of here? I'm coming in. And on some of the doors, he's actually tall enough to get in. So he's learned he can just lean on the door handle and just lean forward and just find his way in. So it's just better to just keep the door open. He'll just
That's good man, honestly.
He'll poke his head in and be like, "Oh, you're not gonna hang out with me, so no big deal. But yeah, fortunately, a lot of them are going to be very similar. I think if you focus on your rotation and your accuracy on the brakes before you do anything to the car, that's going to help you a ton. And then when you have that control with the rotation, when you start making changes to the setup again, if you start adding more wing or you start changing your mechanical grip to get rotation, you'll be able to control the rotation because you'll be able to be proactive on demand. And that will help you a lot more. Right now, you were carrying so much momentum, and the car would just let go mid-corner. And so it wouldn't matter what I did to the setup of the car. Once the car gets taken over by physics and lets go, you're going to be like, I feel out of control. And I'm like, well, yeah, because you're impatient. So, oh, well.
Yeah, no, it's definitely all me. I know that.
Yeah. But
for right now.
Easily fixable.
And Arjun's got a setup for me. I was going to ask, like, at what point, because obviously it's an enduro, so we have to find a setup we both are happy with.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty confident in, not that I'll be super fast by any means, but I think I have the ability to at least control the car well enough, especially when I work on this stuff, to, like, I can mold into a setup or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But when would you say to, like, start flipping over and putting on his setup that he wants to try?
So, okay, so I'm gonna.
At what point when I'm driving accurately?
Yeah, no, for sure. So I'm gonna give you two answers. One's the normal answer, and then the other one's the Preston answer. So, the normal answer I would say is when your driving is consistent enough that you can lap within, let's say, about half a second regularly. Then that way we can put a setup on the car, and we can see how the setup is affecting your driving because your driving is consistent enough that we can see changes. Right?
Yep.
Because even if you went faster with the setup on the car, but you were still all over the place, I don't know where your driving needs work or where the setup's holding you back because you're being inconsistent, right? You're a good enough driver now that you could throw it on and you wouldn't notice the difference, right? Like you just keep working on what we talked about and you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
Right? But for most people, I would be like, don't touch the car at all until you can. I don't care what the lap time is. I don't care if it's a 2:10. I don't care if it's a 2:08. I don't give a shit. I just need it to be consistent so that we can be like, oh, this is where I'm fucking up.
Okay.
So there's that.
That sounds good to me.
There's that.
All right. So get
go drive,
to work now.
Go drive some more.
All right.
Go drive some more.
I will do that. And I'm running Coach Dave, so I did.
I think
that was
stint
good. 1 and 2. Yeah, I was meaning, like, just for the data. So stint 1 and 2 were before we talked. So I'll just make a mental note that stint 3 and beyond will be after I try to make those adjustments.
Sure. All right. I want to try something, actually, while I have a cat in my lap, because I have a little kitty engine here, so I can type, since I won't be driving.
Is Arden in chat?
I don't know.
He is. Do you mind if I go jump into social with Arjun?
No.
Just to chat with him a little bit?
Go right
I haven't
ahead.
talked to him since
No, go right ahead. You should spend time with your teammate. That actually is great. That gives me some time to actually go and run some errands, and I might pop in and come drive with you later. So, perfect.
Okay, awesome. That sounds good. I'll talk to you later.
Super helpful, man. Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
All right, bye.